at Duke. Duke is a good team, good players. We battled in there. We found a way to beat Minnesota yesterday, but good things happening with the football team. Big game with Illinois coming up, but life is good. How you doing, Du?
Doing great. I don't know about you, Jim, but I think winning a Big Ten title in basketball is a pretty good week.
You know what? I
Uh,
left that out.
yeah, I mean, I understand that game against Duke. That's two really good basketball teams, and Duke's a very good team. Um, but at the end of the day, that game doesn't mean much. The loss doesn't hurt us, and we got back to business. Played in front of a home crowd. It was wasn't the most exciting home crowd because the game wasn't all that exciting. Minnesota had six guys to play, literally had six guys to play. So they played a zone all night. And for a good portion of the game, we just sat outside the perimeter and passed the ball around. I don't think it was, exactly what we wanted, but at the end of the day, 10-point win, secure a Big Ten championship ring, and one more out of the next three, and we own that ring outright. And so that's a big deal, real big deal.
Yeah, I hear you, Du. Listen, here's the plan for today. Are you seeing that there, Du?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we are stepping up our game. Got a little artwork here. So Scar and Du, we're gonna elaborate a little more on the game, on the hoops, and where we're at with basketball. Coach Beck in the QB room. We've looked at every position group now on offense, and we finally work our way to the QB. We'll talk about the six quarterbacks there. Some thoughts on Beck's philosophy, what we believe it is. We've got a new GM, been at Notre Dame for 20 years, and then we'll get on some Utah film, and that's that. Are we back here to?
We're here.
Okay, very good.
You're
Anyway,
bigger than
dude,
me.
let's talk some more about basketball. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
And I remember one year I was coaching, and we were in a position we had won the championship. We had a share. We had a share locked in, and I used to give them a battle cry every week, my players, and the battle cry for that last game was share nothing. So the Wolverines need to win. We need to beat Illinois, would be great. But then we got a tough road game at Iowa, and then the Spartans at home. But the battle cry is share nothing. We don't want no co-champs. We want to share nothing. So that's one thing. And I also I saw some online, I look at stuff, we look at stuff, that Dusty got out coached. Let me tell you, Duke has got players, okay? They got real good players. We got real good players. We play them 10 times. We'll probably win 5. They'll probably win 5. There was, we didn't shoot the ball as good. A lot of it had to do with their defense. They're damn good. They're well coached. They got good players, and they're good on defense. And then, you get into a one-possession game, and sometimes it comes down to those calls. And I'm not bitching about calls, but you might get one or two in those games like that. And when Mara was out of the game, that was a huge factor for us. But it's a good game to play that game. We didn't come out. There's nothing positive in losing, but it's always good to play great competition and in more of those stressful environment games to get you ready for the tournament. And then one last final thought on Minnesota, Du. You know what? As a coach, what I liked is you want to see stuff that you don't see often. You know how many teams ran a straight up zone against us all year? We played like 28 games. You know how many teams ran zone the entire game against Michigan all year this year? 0. Yeah. That was a great game for us, because you know what? We might get a damn tournament game and get someone from who knows where, a 16s have beaten ones, man, with terrible matchups. So I'm glad we had Minnesota run zone the whole game and get us out of our comfort zone. And we found a way to win, but that's where I'm at on those two games.
Yeah, the Duke game tough to get Mara in foul trouble as quick as he did. And I was reading some of Dusty's comments in his weekly presser, and he talked about, the first foul on Mara was a mistake he made on a box out, and then he got out of position and he fouled the guy, and Dusty said, yeah, it's a foul. But then the second one wasn't really a foul. And so instead of complaining, this is what I like about Dusty. Instead of complaining about that foul that wasn't a foul, what he said was, Mara made a mistake on the first one. If he doesn't make that mistake, we don't really care about the second one. We're not in any trouble, right? Yeah. Just don't make this mistake. Then the third one was a pretty big foul. And he talked about putting him back in. And if he had to do it all over again, would he do it? And he said no, probably was the wrong decision to put Mara back in. The guy is a competitor, and you can't really, clamp him down and tell him not to do what he does, because then maybe he doesn't get a foul, but maybe he gives up baskets or rebounds or doesn't go hard to the rim or whatever the case may be. But Duke is very good. They're really talented players. They were coached really well. They did to us what we've done to other teams, and that's make adjustments at the second half, at the halftime, and come out in the second half. And I think that's evident in a couple of things. Lendeborg had 21 points for the game. He had the game high in points, but he only had 5 in the second half. So obviously they did something, because he was missing some shots down the stretch. Cadeau goes in for that layup, which was an important layup. I don't know if we were down 1 at the time or what, but he goes in, he gets to the backboard and misses it. And that's just because these guys got length. They're a good rebound. They out-rebounded us by a bunch. We didn't get a whole lot of offensive rebounds for second chance opportunities. So a lot of times you want to say what we didn't do and what we should have done, and you got to give Duke a lot of credit. They played a great game. Boozer's, as advertised, really, really good player. And we struggled. We struggled from 3, of course. We were 4 of 19 or something in the first half. We did not shoot the 3 very well. Namari didn't score at all in that game. And so, and Cheddar that's not a game Cheddar's going to excel in. Yeah. I mean, Cheddar's a hardworking guy, a really important guy to our team. But when you go up against these stud athletes, he's a little bit out of his element.
Yeah, when he got in the game, they attacked him right away. I mean, It is what it is. But then we go to Illinois. Underwood is one of the best. He's one of the. If I'm coaching in the Big Ten and someone said, "Oh, everybody got the same talent," that dude he's right there with one of the last guys I would want to go against. He's a brilliant coach. Yeah. He's a smart coach. He went out and got a bunch of old dudes that can shoot. Everybody can shoot. They'll have 5 guys at the 3-point line. We got to defend all of them. They can all shoot. So, it'd be a crazy crowd, great environment, guys that can score, old guys. But we're up for it. We got players, and I want to share nothing. Share nothing. Let's battle with Illinois. Iowa will be tough, but that's my final thought on basketball. Any more thoughts on basketball?
Well, Illinois is a very good team. Yes, they lost this past week to UCLA in overtime, but they scored 90-something points. Illinois, I think prior to that UCLA game, had the highest adjusted offensive efficiency in the history of Ken Palm. And their score was like 131, which it's ridiculous. They are super efficient. They lead the conference in three-point field goals made. And so, you look at that and you think, yeah, it's at their place. They've had our number. Underwood's a great coach. But then you got to look. Michigan's a damn good team. And this is going to be a knockout, drag-out type of fight. Those fans, for some reason, the Illinois fans want Michigan to be their hated rival. And maybe we're theirs, but they're not ours.
Yeah, Michigan State did a great job against that great guard, Wegler.
Yeah.
He's something else. And we got to have an answer for him. He's good. So let's go over a couple things, dude. Just some thoughts in general. I just thought about recruit. I'm looking at recruiting, it's some of these names, all these big names that people are recruiting, and I'm looking at things are changing, man. We never had to recruit against Indiana. It's like you see these top kids from the Midwest, and you got, Michigan, Notre Dame, Indiana, Ohio State, Indiana. So I just remember when I was in high school, here come the small schools, and Indiana came around, whatever. They weren't much in my eyes. They weren't much different than Eastern Michigan, Central Michigan. But then when the coach from Michigan walked into my school, that's a whole nother world. But now Indiana is like, we got to recruit in the Midwest against Ohio State, right down the road, and Notre Dame right down the road, and now Indiana right down the road. I just thought of that. Any thoughts on that?
Well, you saw that list recently of top spending NIL teams, and Indiana's up there now. And things change like that. But people with money, they want to associate with winners, right?
Yeah.
You don't hang around a bunch of losers or just mediocre people and surround yourself with mediocrity. So you got a guy like Mark Cuban, an Indiana alum, tons of money, and yeah, he wants to be a part of it. And that's winning cures a lot of ills, and especially in the NIL era where, there's a billionaire out there. Doesn't even have to be an alum. Look at Michigan State, just picked up a bunch of cash from some guy. He's not an alum of the school, but you go out and turn around a program like Signetti did, and people are going to open up their wallets because they want to be a part of it. And you're right. We didn't have to. Now you're going to have to recruit against everybody, whether it's Indiana. I mean, it could happen at any place at any time. And so, Michigan hired now a new GM. We're going to talk about Dave Peloquin. This is such an important position. And this is now becoming, we talk about how it's becoming more of a pro league because players are getting paid. You got general managers, you got roster management. But now you need people who are professional at that position, at the roster management, at contracts, at negotiations, at recruiting. What a world we live in as far as college football goes.
So let's transition to him a little more then. I tried to research him. I've talked to people. He's been at Notre Dame for 20 years. He worked for a lot of different people at Notre Dame in a lot of different capacities. But something that says a lot about the guy, he went to Notre Dame, graduated from Notre Dame, says a lot. He was a manager. You know what a manager is. He was a football manager for a couple years, and then his last year he was the senior manager. That's something of note. We know that the guy who is selected senior manager is like the best of the managers, and it says something about him from that standpoint. So I know it matters. It's something that of significance. So he's at Notre Dame. He worked for Bob Davies. Now a guy that I know that was at Michigan, Bob Camille, recruiting coordinator at Michigan. He was at Michigan. He was at Notre Dame. He was at Northwestern. He's a Chicago guy. He's married to Michigan royalty, the Dufek family. Anyway, he had a part in bringing Peloquin into Notre Dame, from what my sources tell me. So there's a little Michigan, because Bobby Camille was at Michigan for a long time. He was there when I was there. And anyway, he had a part in bringing him to Notre Dame. But he's always been like the assistant guy in different roles in recruiting, and he worked for Davy. He worked for Tyrone Willingham. He worked for who are some of them other guys over there? Charlie Weiss,
Brian Kelly.
Yep, worked for Brian Kelly. So he worked for a lot of different guys, which is good. You learn from all of them, and then he worked for Freeman, but he got passed over the last couple times. He got passed over for the big job. I don't know if you read that, but he got passed over for the big GM job. And, I think maybe he reached out, and somebody reached out. Whittingham saw him and said, "You know what? We're gonna make you the guy. You know how to talk to people. You know how to talk to alum, and you've been in this game for 20 years in a lot of different roles. So it just seems like a guy who's paid his dues, who knows.
Mhm.
He was a football guy at first. You know what I mean? He's not just some. He was in coaching as a grad assistant in some capacity. So he's paid his dues. He's seen a lot of people fired up about him. Wit understands talent. Game recognized game, do. So I'm fired up about him. That's my final thought on him. Go ahead. What do you think about that hire?
Well, I think one of the main points on his resume is last year he left Notre Dame in 2025 and he went to work for Athletes First, which is a really big, powerful agency, right? So he's not, for a year, he was working on the other side of the table. Now he's working with athletes, with parents, and finding the right guys to sign, right? And so he's seen that side of it. He's seen the side from an athlete's point of view, whereas the previous 21 years, well, not all of them, but while he was at Notre Dame, he's sitting there looking for recruits, but he's having to deal with guys like what his position became last year. And I think that's a unique perspective. And I think it brings, this guy, he knows the ins and outs now of the NIL game,
Yeah.
right? And so you're not teaching some guy something. You're not having a guy learn on the fly. This guy knows the game, and he knows how to find talent. He knows the right high school recruits they want to target. He knows the right portal transfer guys you want to make offers to. He'll work well with the coach. He's got a working relationship with Alford and Larry Black. And I think there was one other guy too. Anyway, all three of them worked at Notre Dame at one point or another together. So he knows some guys on the Michigan side. He's from the area, and this is some people might call it a coup on Whittingham's part to go get this guy from where he was at, from his experience at Notre Dame, and then this last year at Athletes First. This might give this guy a leg up and give Michigan a leg up. So
Yeah, it reminds. You're right.
great
He
hire.
understands both sides of the ball. It's just like I was just listening to Hill, some of our defensive coordinators' comments. He coached offense for many years. I firmly believe. Gary Moeller, brilliant defensive coach. He played linebacker. He was an all coach. But he understood offense too. The guys that understand offense, or the guy, vice versa, makes you a good coach on that side of the ball. So we're fired up about him. We're feeling good about that position. He's a soldier, paid his dues, senior manager, worked with a lot of smart guys. Just a couple things of note. Michigan is an early 1.5 point favorite against Oklahoma. Now, a lot of people say, what the hell does that matter? But let me tell you something. I believe, I'm a gambler, okay? Vegas has football guys that help them make lines. They do. They have guys that understand it's not just, how's the public going to go, but, to have balanced numbers and this and that. But I think what that says to me is that Vegas has confidence in our hire, our leader. We got our quarterback back. We've got good players back, offensive linemen back, deep players back. But more than anything, I think it says something about our leader that, hey, Oklahoma has material back, but we got some players back, and we've got a damn good leader running the show now.
Oh yeah, no doubt about it. I don't know how anybody makes a bet on the Michigan-Oklahoma game in February, but that's not my realm, so I don't know. However, I think you're right. It does say, these guys, like you were talking about, those are pros out there in Vegas setting these lines. They've looked at everything. Who Michigan got back, who they brought in. The sophomore quarterback is going to take a leap over what was the freshman quarterback. And then, of course, Whittingham. So you're right. All of that plays in, and it's in Ann Arbor, so it's basically a toss-up, but, it's nice to be favored in February.
Yeah. I was looking at the recruiting in the Midwest, and there's a big kid out of Chicago, David Fuller Run Show, and he's a big 4 or 5 star kid from Chicago, and he's got Indiana, Michigan. Anyway, that was the kid I was looking at. He had to recruit against Indiana before, Now they're in the mix. Signetti do 3.2 million. They extended them. They bumped them up. 13.2.
13.
13.2.
Yeah.
I said that, yeah. 13.2 million. Bo never wanted to make more than the president. I don't know. 13.2 million for Signetti. What do you think about that?
He just signed an extension prior to last year, so Indiana is all in on football, and obviously you have to be. The guy just won Indiana a national championship in football. 5 years ago, if you said to everybody in the college football watching world and gave them odds of Indiana winning the championship in 2025,
Yeah.
nobody would believe you. You'd have to give them 1,000,000,000 to 1 odds. And so, yeah, we're going to be recruiting against him for a while.
We saw the article about Lendeborg, his mom and Coach May, Dusty recruiting him. And then I listened to Johnson's with Big Johnson interview with Tim McCormick. And, they both talked about getting recruited. I don't want to get into the. You can elaborate more on the this, however you want to respond. But what I liked listening to both of those guys when they were in the portal and they were getting recruited and talked to by all these different people, they both talked about Dusty and the relationship. So don't let anybody fool you, man. I met Dusty May. I shook his hand. I could see where guys want to play for him. I talked to him for a minute. And don't let anybody think that this thing is all just about the check. It's a part of it. Damn right it's a part of it, but you got to have the ability to close deals. And I think Dusty got to the heart with these kids. They sat with them and they talked with them and they said, this guy's going to, Johnson talked about, he went there in person to meet him. Everybody else wanted a Zoom call. I just wanted to give a shout out to our leader, who has surrounded himself with great coaches and great players. And I don't think that stuff is just all about the checkbook.
Well, first of all, we got to get his last name right. It's Lendeborg. Lendeborg.
Yeah.
All right. But we want to give the kid, at least that much respect. If you have not read that article on Yaxel Lendeborg, find it. It is an amazing article. Just briefly, this kid was in high school going nowhere. He says himself, he was a class clown. They wouldn't even let him play basketball because his grades were too bad. And his mom picked him up one day and they just sat in the car and mom wasn't going to drive him anywhere. She was at her wit's end and she was crying and telling him about how, you're going nowhere. You got to do me this favor. You got to get right. And it struck a chord. And right there and then, he decided to change his ways. And he got enough grades to get back on the basketball team as a senior. And then he got an offer, right? And they were at this camp where he got this offer. And then his mom starts working the other coaches. This is an amazing story. You got to go read it. I wish I had the link for it. I'm sorry that I don't. But just Google Yaxel Lendeborg, and this story will pop up. It's got to be one of the top searches. And his mom is an amazing, amazing woman. She put this kid on the right track. She's his number one fan. And now, after all that she's done for him and how much she means to him and how much he means to her, now she's fighting cancer. And it's heartbreaking to read that, but she was at the game in Washington, D.C., and Yaxel Lendeborg is a complete 180 from where he was 5 years ago. And it's a great story. Great kid. But you're right, in that story, I'm sorry I went on that long tangent, but in that story, he said, I had all kinds of coaches coming at me when I was in the transfer portal leaving UAB, and all of them talked money. That's all they were doing is throwing out money. But the one guy who talked about how he could make him a better player and how about team and about championships and becoming the best person you can, the one coach that did that was Dusty May. And I think that tells you everything we need to know about our coach.
Yeah, there's still the relationship building, man. There's still the heart and in getting that going with guys. So yeah, I just wanted to point that out. Talking about expanding the playoffs, and there's some talk though of getting rid of the championship games, which I think is a good idea. You got 18 teams, and if 4 of them are 8-1, who plays in the game? So I understand if you want to expand the college football playoff, and Spurrier had a comment. He's like, well, it's going to come down to who has the easiest schedule. The old ball coach always had, but he's right in some regards. I mean, you got 18 teams. You don't know year to year how good someone's going to be, this, that, or whatever. But I thought that is something that if they are going to expand it, I have no problem getting rid of the championship game and saying, you know what? We have 3 Big Ten champions this year that all finished 8-1. You know what I mean? I got no problem with that. There's times we had many championships where we were co-champs, and at the end of the day, that ring on our finger is the same damn. It's a Big Ten championship. So I don't have a problem seeing. Especially if you have, like I said, you got 4 teams 8-1. Who the hell's going to play in the game because of how bad you beat whatever, some non-league game or something? So any thoughts on that?
Yeah. So first of all, if they're going to expand the playoffs, they're going to have to get rid of the Big Ten or the conference championship games. But the only way they're getting rid of conference championship games is if the conferences make up that money. The reason they have them now, let's be honest, is money, right? They are a very popular draw, huge numbers at the end of the year, and they're not going to just say, okay, we'll give this up and go to a bigger playoff field. It's got to mean we're dumping this game that gives us X million dollars for it. We're going to have to make that up in this playoffs. I hope they don't go to 18 teams. If they want to go to 16 teams, I suppose that's all right. But, if they take a little, they take a lot. You give them an inch and they take a mile. And they talk about all these rules are protecting the kids, right? Well, how are you protecting the kids right now when they show up in July and you want them to play almost to February?
Yeah.
That is not protecting anybody except your wallet, and it really irritates me. And that's a long season, and you're not protecting them because it's a hard – look at that. Justice Haynes didn't make it half the year, right? The best running back in the country when he went out. Linemen. We had linemen get hurt. We're going to start running the quarterback, and the quarterback's going to, take some hits. You're going to have these guys play. What did Indiana? What were they? 16-0?
16, yeah.
16 games.
Yeah.
That's
anyway,
insane.
Talking about quarterbacks, dude. Let's. Do you have my scholarship chart up there?
Yeah, I do.
Well,
let's not rule out the walk-ons, Jim. Walk-ons are people too, buddy.
You're right, but you know what? The clown that made this chart, he don't put him on there. I would have had him on there. I don't know who. I got this online somewhere, but there are some. There is depth. There's a lot of players here. I'll just give my thoughts real quick. I like the two young guys. Tommy Carr is an athlete, accurate kid. You look at how his brother's doing at Notre Dame, and he's Smeagol, high recruited, athletic, accurate, good. You don't know what you're going to get. You don't know how they're going to develop, but that's a good start right there. Chase Herbstreit. I saw the kid play in high school over here. I actually met the old man. They played Detroit King down here. He's an athlete. He's a strong, good-looking kid. And obviously Bryce. And then this Colin Hurley is a kid that was too young. I think he was 16 when he rolled into LSU. And then Brayden Fowler. Dude, I've watched that kid play, 3-4 times on national television. I've seen him play outstanding. Then I saw him play had some rough days, but he started like 28 games. So it gives us depth. It gives us experience. We've got Bryce has started 13 games. Fowler-Nicolosi has started 28 games with four. Some really great talent to compete. Feeling good about that room because again, Witt likes to run them, man. He went through 5 quarterbacks one year. That year, the year he had his last year, he had his rough year before the good year 2 years ago. But he said he had 5 quarterbacks. He went through 5 quarterbacks, so he runs them and he don't care. It's what he believes in. So you better have bodies. But what are your thoughts about the quarterback room?
Competition is the first thing that jumps out, right? Compare this room and the talent in this room and the experience with Fowler-Nicolosi. This is a quarterback. This is what your quarterback room should look like. Even if you have a 5-star returning quarterback, you got to have competition, and it can't be fabricated. It's got to be legit. And first of all, kudos to those 2 guys, Fowler-Nicolosi and Hurley, for choosing Michigan. Nicolosi has got probably as many stats as anybody that was in transfer portal. 2 years as a starter, he's thrown a bunch of touchdowns, also threw a bunch of interceptions, but the guy has played a lot of football. He's an older guy, and he's going to come in here, and he's not going to take a backseat to anybody. He's going to give it his all to try and win that starting position. This Colin Hurley, this is a very intriguing prospect. Like you said, he was 16 years old when he enrolled at LSU. He actually, a lot of times these recruits, they'll reclassify from one class to the next one down the road. Hurley reclassified to the one sooner. And so he's 16 when he enrolls at LSU. He redshirts his freshman year, of course, because the kid just got his driver's license competing against guys who are 20-something years old. And then his sophomore year, he's in a really bad car accident. And, it was serious. And so he missed the whole season, and he got a medical redshirt. So he comes to Michigan with 4 full years left of eligibility. And based on how things going, he might have 5. Who knows? But he made his high school football team as an 8th grader. He made varsity as an 8th grader. And then as a true freshman, he won the starting quarterback job and won the 2A title. This kid's got talent. And he chose LSU after Bryce Underwood had committed to LSU. So he committed to LSU knowing he was going to be the backup to Bryce. And now he comes here, similar situation. And, boy, I tell you what, for a young kid coming in here to learn, probably sits behind Bryce for 2 years, but he's got a lot of athletic ability. This kid might be something. And then, of course, like you said, you got Carr and Smeagol. So that's a hell of a quarterback room. And especially, like you said, because we like to run it. Well, Witt likes to run the quarterback. And I mentioned this a few times already. The backup quarterback at Utah last year played in every single game.
Yeah, and not mop-up time. They play him early. It's part of the deal. It's part of the plan. And
right.
I wonder how those conversations went when Nicolosi and Hurley came into town. Our coaches had to really let them believe that you guys have a chance, and we're going to play 2. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
The film is the proof. When you put on when these guys looked at the film and they see the backup quarterback in there in the first quarter, running plays, running wildcat stuff, and doing things to get him in the game, that's encouraging. So anyway, that's a great looking room. I feel really good about that room.
It is.
There's depth. There's future. There's competition. There's guys that can run it. There's experience. We got to go into some of these places. We got to go to Oregon, and Bryce tweaks his ankle. We put a guy in that started 28 games. So anyway, that's the quarterback room. I'm gonna jump over to the film, and then we'll get into.
Well,
go ahead.
You wanted to talk about Beck a little bit.
Yeah, go ahead.
you want to talk about Beck's philosophy, and I listened to an interview he gave, and I think these are some important points. And his philosophy, first of all, what are they doing right now? Okay. Well, they're installing what he said, they're installing the base of what we are. Okay. So they're meeting with players and they've given them, basically a playbook or an iPad with the plays on it and stuff, getting terminology settled in and stuff. So he says, install the base. The first thing they want to do is adapt to the personnel. Are we going to be an 11 personnel, 12 personnel, 10 personnel, empty backfield? That depends on our personnel. Who's doing what and how well are they doing it? We're going to find that out in spring ball, which is going to start mid next month. And then it's what they do and what they can do. Aside from the personnel, the bigger driver is what can your quarterback do? That's how important it is. And I think it's not some revelation, but how well your quarterback can manage this offense and understand this offense and get us matriculating the ball down the field efficiently and consistently, right? Now, that opens some things up. So your quarterback's got to be proficient. And then second was offensive line, because I don't care how good your quarterback is. If your offensive line is a sieve, you're in trouble, right? So quarterback, offensive line, and then special team, the skilled players. Those are how those three go, and in that order is how your offense will go. He likes the players that we have right now. They've met, obviously. He's in his time that he's been here, so that's been what, a month or so. He's still in a hotel, and he's at the hotel eating, and he's been down at the building the rest of the day, and doing that. And that's really what these guys' lives are right now. Switching over as a new coaching staff. Tough life to live if you got a wife and kids, but God bless them for doing it, because we feel we got a good staff, and we feel we got somebody that's going to teach these guys how to be a really well-coached football team.
Yeah,
so,
I always look
just
at a guy in a program, and I used to tell my players, when we played, what formation did the coaches put in the first day of practice? That tells you what you are. What formation do you put in? And then what are the first few plays you put in? That's where you tell your players, this is what we are. This is our foundation. And I think Beck put in one back, one tight end, 3 wide receivers, and I think gap scheme, pulling guards, the gap scheme stuff, I would say is the foundation. Obviously, they run a ton of zone first, but that's a question I wish I knew, because that's what you're telling your players your very first day.
That's a good question. You should go to a press conference and ask.
I told my players, look, man, this is it. Yeah. Okay, if they stop this, then take your hat off to them, because
dude, I think that's a great. Get somebody who's going. I'm going to ask Angelique Shingalis ask her to ask that question. What's the first formation that you put in?
That's what I want to know. And I was at a press conference, that's what I'd ask them, but you know what? As a coach, you don't want to give clues to really what the hell you are, but I guarantee you they told their players. Because I'd want to know that. I know. Look, when we look at film, when we were coaching and playing, what's the first team Coach Matt gonna say? We're taking away their best stuff. We got to know their best formations and their best stuff. We're taking it away. Right. That's the whole game plan defensively. But same thing offensively. You want to tell your players, look, we're going to hang our hat on this. This is what we are.
Yeah.
And but any other thoughts?
Well, I hope it's a 12 personnel. I want your tight end lined up on the end of the line, hand in the dirt. But I want a fullback in there.
Yeah.
So we line our full. You think about our boy Bredesen. Rarely was he line up in the backfield. He was always kind of in that Y position, lined up on the line in the backfield at the end of the line. I hope that was our first one, because I think our guys are comfortable with it and they're proficient at it. and I think that would be the first one. That'd be my guess.
Yeah,
So,
I'm just going
but I'm
based
going to
on
ask
the film.
Angelique to ask that.
I'm basing on the film I've looked at so far. And listen, he's all over the place. There's a lot of
Yeah.
there's a lot of empty. There's one back, four receivers. There's we're all over the place, which is good. Ton of
Yeah.
shifting, ton of formations, which is all good, man. But again, my final thought on Beck is he's gonna look at the personnel, but at the end of the day, dude, he's a shifting motion, formations, quarterback running, screw you up, but be good at some of the basic stuff. But anyway, let's look at a little bit of film and just a little bit. We're nuts, dude. We got to look at film, man. We're football former players, and I'm seeing a lot of 7 technique. We didn't run a ton of that. I called it a 7 technique. Inside eye of a tight end, playing C gap. It's tough. Now this kid doesn't do a good job here. I'm gonna run it through here. This is Utah on defense against BYU, and it's tough because you want them to play inside control, playing C gap. Inside eye of the tight end. I had to play it at times, and it's tough when you're, anyway, I'm seeing it.
Hey,
Okay?
Jim, can you
a-
expand that like you had it earlier? Earlier, you had the picture bigger. Can you still do that?
Dude, that's the biggest I can get it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I got our ugly mugs on the side taking up
I
too
know.
much
I
room.
wish I could get
Maybe
them off
Doug
of there,
can-
but anyway, that's what we got in this 7 technique. And
Yeah.
we didn't
There
see
you
a
go.
ton of it. We ran the last 5 years we did not run a ton of this. I'm seeing it often, and this kid doesn't do a great job because he's getting knocked out of there, and they're dragging him for 6-7 yards because of the tight end there for BYU is good. So when I look at that, is that a Dom Nichols? That's a Dom Nichols type position. He's a big kid. I met him. He's a 260-pound kid, and you better have a big kid taking on asking him to control C gap and taking on a 260-pound tight end. And that kid doesn't do a good job there.
I want to see which way these guys are stepping.
So anyway, this is that same play, and this is number 90 here. And but anyway, we play a 1 technique. There's a 1 technique, and here's your 3 technique. So there's nothing new for us there. And, so that's all the same stuff. But this kid is not.
Yeah,
this kid has to be,
4 down lineman is something. Like you said, we haven't run
it's not
that
something
too
we've
much.
always ran with 4 guys with their hand on the ground. It's new.
Right.
I mean, we ran 4 guys at the line of scrimmage, but we would run.
Where there was a stand-up guy, 3
we
down
had-
lineman and
we-
a stand-up.
What we did the last 5 years is we had these 2 guys standing up. Okay, and what that gives you.
Right.
Now, look, you can still drop a guy from a 4-point stance. You can drop him into coverage. And that's what we did. We would drop the offense didn't know which guy was rushing, which guy was dropping. We might rush them both, whatever, bring a backer, whatever. But the McDonald Minter philosophy, Wink philosophy was these 2 dudes are standing like old school outside backers, edge guys, and they're going to either drop or rush. So it makes it easier to drop when you're in a 2-point stance. We all understand that.
Right.
But I'm seeing 4 guys with their hand on the line in the line of script, hand down. So that's that. What do I got written up about here? Let's see what I have. We're going against BYU, and they're running a wheel route. I don't like that Utah is confused here, but they get confused. I don't like seeing. Anyway, that's a blown coverage on the defense. So wheel route and underneath route. So anyway, I just like seeing. We want to see these guys adjust and be smart.
That's John. On that play, John Henry Daly was on the right end there.
Yeah, he's number 90, right?
Yep.
Okay. Anyway, here they are running a stunt. We run this. Again, 4 guys with their hand at the line of scrimmage. 4 guys with their hands down, something new for us. You know, when you have your hand down, you're basically saying, look, we're not dropping these dudes. You know, whereas Wink and Minter, their philosophy was, okay, we might drop them. We might drop them in coverage. We might have them jump a back. You know, so that's, you know, these dudes are down. Whittingham doesn't care. He's like, hey, we're not dropping them. We're not going to try to disguise anything. We're not going to try to fool you. So that's what he's saying there. So that's that. This the holy war, right? Isn't that what they call it?
Yep, exactly.
Again, more 7 technique. Again, we didn't run a ton of this, but this dude better be a big, strong dude. So he's got Henry there. I'm going to tell you right now, game 1, this guy's going to be Dom Nichols. And now you have a linebacker out here outside the tight end. This is kind of how I used to defend it as a coach. You play your 7 technique, playing the C gap, protects the linebackers. You got a 3 technique. So we're basically really protecting this kid here. That's kind of what you're doing. They can't get to him. But it's tough on that C gap player, you know. He's getting waxed there again.
Yeah.
You know, that's
he
just
took
tough
himself out of the play there.
Yeah, this is so
7.
Yeah, so what you have is this guy's playing into the C gap. He's a C gap player. This guy's a B gap player, and they're both protecting him. But this guy's got to play at the line of scrimmage, and it's not very good. But he's going to have some. I think he's going to have better talent here. That kid's got to get stouter. That's going to be Dom Nichols. That's my guess. I only got about maybe 4 more plays. I just want to take a look.
Mm-hmm.
Just take a peek. You know, trying to figure out who the hell's playing where for us. And this was my guess. Game 1. The 7 technique guy. Well, he plays them. It looks like he's playing right and left. No, well, I don't know.
Well, Daly there, number 90, has been on the right every play that I've seen so far.
Okay, well, maybe, you know, some guys believe in that. That could be the case. You know, I've had players, left-handed players. I wanted to play them. I could do that at certain times with some positions. You know, 3 technique, 1 technique.
Well,
but anyway, I think this is going to be, if we're starting game 1, this is going to be Nichols and Brandt to start. That's my prediction at the edge position. I guarantee you Pierce is going to be one of them. These 3 are going to start, I believe. And then the question is, and there's about 6 dudes fighting for this spot. Etta's going to get an early chance at that 3 technique. But you've got a lot of guys that are going to be battling to be this position. And then we've got good depth. And then, you know, they're going to be battling for that's just my early prediction there, Dew.
Well, that transfer that we got, Jonah Leah, from Utah, you know, he's a DT, and apparently he's doing really well right now in winter conditioning, and you know, he could be battling for that starting spot, for sure too.
You're right, and I had him. Yeah, that position, I put Etta's name in there, but that one is a definitely free for all. That a lot of people, but Pierce is going to be tough to beat out, in my opinion. But the other ones, here's some man. A lot of man we've seen in this game. Ton of man so far. I think probably 75% of the plays in this game that we looked at so far has been man coverage. And both these guys are doing the same thing. BYU doing a lot of the same stuff that Beck likes to do, running guys around just to get people screwed up. So he's running this dude around, put him in motion, pump fake, have him come back, pump fake, have him go back again. And this one technique is not very good here. Yeah, that was a smart play. Good read by the defensive. I like seeing smart guys make good reads.
I missed Mason Graham and Kenneth Grant.
Oh, you would never see
two
this.
More of them,
You never saw this from. You never saw this. What's happening here? We ain't used to that. hopefully Coach Black will get that figured out. But this ain't what we're used to. I mean, this kid gets launched. You see him getting launched?
Yeah.
He's
Yep.
defending.
Can't have that, man.
He's defending the Tabernacle. What is that thing in downtown Salt Lake? The big church down there.
Yeah, it is. It's
where are we
the
at?
Mormon
A couple
church
more
for
plays.
sure.
This might be my last play. This is my last play. Anyway, again, dude, we haven't seen this ever. We didn't see this in the last 5 years. 4 down linemen, hands on the ground. They ain't dropping. Okay, you got a 7 technique. It looks like a 1 technique, 3 technique, 5 technique, playing gaps, backers playing gaps. That's just saying we're rushing, man coverage. Anyway, that's it, man. We just got to get a little bit of film. We're like that, man. We got to keep looking at film, man. But dude, we're a big game this Friday, and feeling good about things. We'll start talking about defense, position groups. Just so you know, we're gonna be Hail Media and Scar and Dew are going to be bringing in some former captains from back in the 80s, and we're going to look at film of old school games with captains. And these guys are going to narrate their games. That's coming soon. So we got a couple things lined up. Guys from the 60s, guys from the 80s. And we're going to put their game film on and look at their film with them, analyzing their team, their game. So that's coming. But my final thought is, let's go get the Illini and share nothing. That's my battle cry. We ain't sharing jack. Our banner's going up. Ain't no damn the ring ain't gonna say no damn co-champs on it. We ain't sharing jack. Go blue. What's your final thought?
This team's got a lot of grit, and I think they would love nothing more than to capture an outright championship in Champaign, Illinois, in front of those fans who hate Michigan and desperately want us to be their biggest rival. And I think these boys are poised to do it, man. They're a really good basketball team. I said earlier that Illinois is a good team and got this and that and the other thing. But, man, I'm telling you what, Michigan's a good team. They're a damn good team. And I think going into Champaign and winning that title and taking a ring will be poetic. I love it. I can't wait to watch it. Go blue. Let's get share nothing. I love it.
All right.